Greetings duplicant and welcome to the breach. In today's episode there's going to probably be a bit of multitasking, i.e. running two colonies at once and both needing to progress. The second colony here you can see on Cultivista needs to be made self-sufficient. For that to happen I need it to grow its own crops and supply its own oxygen. For this to happen very quickly it's going to need an injection of resources from the other colony. For example, steel, reed fibre, some gold, maybe some lead. I also need to have a little bit of an explore and find out where all the resources are. I know this has got a cool slush geyser, so I can make my own oxygen on this planet. But I want to find out if there's anything else useful on here. On the main colony, it's time to start pushing towards space. Once I've got access to space, I can finish off the research by making my own data banks. So enough preamble, let's get into this. So in the background I've been working on one of my favourite early upgrades, which is changing the outhouses into proper toilets. And instead of using reed fibre to dump the excess polluted water, I'm going to use an arbitrary to start off with. Though with two duplicates it won't be growing that much. I'll be recycling the water from the outhouses and the basins into the new system. Which means I don't have bottles of polluted water off-gassing into my base, which is always really handy. Once I have some water in the system, it's just a simple task of replacing old with new. I'm here looking at the arbitrary and looking at the hydroponics tile and wondering why can't I get that seed into the hydroponics tile? It would really help if my duplicates could actually bridge the gap and get over there, but it takes me a while to realise that I can't do it until I build a little ladder section. And we just add the overflow to the hydroponics tile and it's all set up and working. While this has been happening, I've been further developing the main colony. For the best optics, I'm calling it a rocket launch tube and not a rocket silo. Welcome to the rocket launch tube. We appear to be getting ahead of ourselves. Before we make it a rocket launch tube, let's do some science. Let's get some astronomy done. Find out what asteroids are in the local area. The enclosed telescope offers some protection from the radiation. As I am a beneficent overlord, I'll try and stop my duplicates from getting radiation sickness. The telescope needs to be hooked up to power and oxygen. Yep, you'll notice I didn't quite hook it up to the oxygen. I didn't notice at the time, but I eventually work it out. We are about to hit a milestone, 1,000 cycles. It's nice there's a little bit of fanfare about this. Yeah, the fanfare and the save hitting at the same time. But yay, go duplicants, 1,000 cycles and nobody's died. Well done. So we've got the telescope powered. I'm going to edit out the bit while I'm faffing around trying to work out why nobody's coming to do any astronomy. All because I didn't hook the oxygen up correctly to the gas tank. I eventually realised my mistake. I'm also drawing oxygen out of the atmospheric suit, so I want to stop that as well. Once we have the oxygen supplied to the telescope, it means it'll go on the errands list and we'll have a duplicant come and do some stargazing soon. You see so many great animations of the duplicants that you forget to appreciate them sometimes, so we're just going to appreciate the use of the telescope. It's going to take some time to survey the local space. Best we get on with other jobs. We can watch Ashcan and Bert leave the gym for the final time. This gym is taking up some prime real estate, and we won't be taking on a huge quantity of duplicants at the same time, so we don't need 4 hamster wheels. So it's time to repurpose this area as some bedrooms. Banhi 2 is the only duplicant presently using the gym. Banhi is the newest duplicant and was the frozen friend from the other colony. We'll rebuild a smaller gym somewhere else in the colony. We'll be stripping out the present statues as well. They're made out of granite. We might as well go for the metal sculptures made out of gold for the extra decor bonus. So partition this room, and then I'm going to leave as much of the original decor in as possible to give that studenty vibe that this room wasn't originally a bedroom. The mismatched drywall will obviously add to this realism. I still haven't managed to acquire the rocket bed yet, so I'm a bit disappointed. So the sports car will have to suffice. That decor overlay is really nice to see. The rest of the asteroid might be a hellhole, but when they come home, at least it's home sweet home. A little something on the wall, and obviously some nice carpet to wriggle your toes into. What more could a duplicant want? A quick check that none of these beds are occupied, and we can get rid of them, and we now have some space for a future project. I'm thinking about wild growing some lettuce here. Oops, I'll try that one again. If I don't grow wild lettuce, I might decide to go for the wild arbor trees for the lumber, which I can turn into ethanol and then burn and feed the carbon dioxide to slicksters. Now this little section up here will be turned into our one-person gym. Once those final 2 statues are built, we'll alter the door security so only Banny 2 can enter, and she can run until her athletics have improved. Was it something I said? Well, that was immensely bad timing. But let's have a quick look at how the exploration of space is going. Find out what the duplicates have discovered so far. Well, it's a bit anticlimactic. There's an asteroid field and a defunct satellite. Now, the sandy ore field is very disappointing. Sandstone, sand, algae, copper. We want to go and get the artifacts, but nothing of really interest for us there. Not what we really wanted. Well, back to it, duplicates. 2 carbon dioxide geysers could give us the option of exporting it back to our main colony or raising some slicksters here to provide food if we leave a permanent colony on this asteroid. Well, the beaters are up and about, working hard and producing refined uranium for us later. I love the animation of the beaters and the lurid green glow as the hives themselves refine the uranium. I upgraded the new colony with a mini pod. It's nice having them have some high quality food once in a while. Normally whenever the pod offers you lime you take it, but I've got a lot in stock at the moment. I've got a few tons of the stuff. I don't have many arbor acorns though. Decisions. Although we have significant quantities of oxalite still off-gassing and we've got 500 grams of pressure, it's about time we made inroads into producing our own oxygen on this colony. And for that we're going to dig around the saltwater geyser and secure all the ethanol so it's in a usable form, i.e. it's in reservoirs. We could export it back to the main base and burn it in the industrial brick, but I think I'll leave it on this colony and we can use it as a power source to kickstart any industry that we need to do. So I have aspirations for an industrial age on Cultivista. To facilitate that happening very easily, I am going to supply some much needed resources from the main colony. This simple setup with an auto sweeper and a storage box will help me do that very quickly. One resource that the main base is not lacking in is coal. The huge quantities of coal we've dug out from the different biomes and then nearly 1,000 cycles of hatch farming. So it just makes sense setting up a really small power unit like this for a temporary solution to a problem. I say this is only temporary, it'll probably last 100 or more cycles. Yes, there is still a coal generator setup that's pumping liquid into the SPOM. And this setup was only supposed to be temporary and it's over 900 cycles. I should really get round to sorting that out at some point. The bin can store an exact amount of resources. Once the bin has been filled up with the resources, I then stop it from storing. It drops the resource out onto the floor and the auto sweeper picks it up and sends it on its merry way to the other colony. Takes the guesswork out of sending critical items like steel, reed fibre, plastic, etc. Easy way of sending 2 tons of plastic to upgrade the beds for the duplicants and to help make steam turbines when I want to do some cooling. I'm going to repeat this process. I'm going to send plastic, steel, gold, copper, aluminium. But during the editing process I do realise I forget to send any gold amalgam, which I'll probably have to rectify before the next episode. I send a little algae across as well just in case I need to pressure a work area. A 1,000 cycles and I realised I could have a nature reserve in my base. How did I leave it for this long without realising? I'm pretty pleased with the base. It's a nice area for the duplicants to live. It's got all nice amenities for them. I've ironed out all the kinks that my design led to, like a lack of supply of oxygen to the atmospheric docks and a build-up of carbon dioxide on the lower levels. But that's all sorted now, so it's looking good. Well, after digging down into the salt biome, we've used up most of the oxygen in this area. Thankfully, we've got a critter supplying some oxalate. This kind of little drawback shows how quickly I need to set up my oxygen maker before things get any worse. Poor old George doesn't have enough oxygen in the atmosphere for him to breathe, so he can't run on the hamster wheel and pump up the ethanol. This is going to be a cyclical problem, but I remembered that I sent some algae for this kind of situation, so I can build an oxygen diffuser and allow George to fully charge up the battery. I can be all fancy as well and use lead wiring. And Ellie builds the wiring and then sets off to go and get some algae to put it into the diffuser. And she's back with the algae, and George can now fill up the tanks with ethanol. Well, that's the end of the episode. I've got everything completed that I wanted to. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the other side.